now that we have a grid on our reference image and a grid on our drawing paper, we are going to use those grids in order to complete a contour line drawing of your picture, of your reference image. What a contour line drawing is basically a outline of your overall design. So this would be a completed contour line drawing of this reference image. Don't mind the different colors on here. We are going to just be using black and white and drawing very lightly for our purposes. So I'm using the grid that I put on my reference image, and I'm going to plot out the lines exactly where they go on my good drawing image. I'm going to zoom you guys in so you're not going to be able to see my whole drawing anymore or most of my paper anymore. I'm going to lower this down so that you can see more closely what I'm doing on my drawings. Okay, so on my paper, you can see I have some of this first petal already drawn in. I'm going to go ahead and continue on with this. So the way that I use a grid is I use it as a reference or plot point. And where something crosses the grid on my reference image, it's going to cross that same grid on my good drawing paper. So this petal begins in grid 2 and 4. So I'm going to find 2 and 4 on my good paper, and it is barely above that grid, and it's about a quarter of the way over. So I'm finding about where this would go, and I'm just going to start sketching in lines. I like to kind of use the grid and give myself reference lines where everything crosses. So now I'm down into grid 3 and 5. So I find grid 3 and 5, and this petal crosses about a quarter of the way down the grid. So here's my half line for this grid. I'm going to come about here, and then it connects onto my next grid right at the intersection line almost. So it's going to come the whole way down right to almost this point. So my other line is a little bit wrong. I need to move that over some, which is fine. That's why we're doing this, so I can double check where everything goes. And then I can just kind of connect these lines together. It's a fairly straight line between the two, and then here it kind of goes into a little point. So I use them not only to get my locations correct, but also to get the shape of whatever you're drawing correct as well. Again, I like to give myself kind of plot points against the grid. I find that it's easier to see where I'm supposed to be drawing all of this out. This petal comes about a quarter of the way from grid 3, 4, and then it goes the whole way down to box 3 and 3. And it comes to here. You can kind of move grid by grid every once in a while. I do recommend checking to make sure that you are in the correct boxes though, because sometimes you get kind of lost if you go section by section. Again, I'm looking at where everything crosses the grid. This one's all the way down in 5, 4, and it crosses almost at the corner of this line. Connect the whole way up here, almost in a straight line, and then it curves here. The top of this petal crosses about halfway in between boxes in grid number 3. So I would just continue on doing this same exact thing, give myself plot points, and using that grid to help you figure out where everything needs to go and what shape everything needs to be in.